We just landed here in Grand Rapids, Michigan for the Snow and Ice Symposium, SIMA's prestigious annual big event for snow fighters. We're looking forward to having some fun. Well, good morning to everybody. The week is at a conclusion here now, so we'll get the best out of our sessions for the rest of the day today. Today's topic about building a safety culture is something that is very personal to me. It's something that I live and breathe as a business owner, but also as an operator in the industry, excuse me, having grown up in the industry and in the field. So I'm happy to see that so many people are here to listen to this seminar about building a safety culture. If you flew here or if you've flown before, you know where they say on the plane, if you're not going to Chicago or Florida, you're on the wrong flight, hop off the plane. So if you're not here for building a safety culture and you're looking for the SALT seminar or another seminar, that's not this room. Of course, if you get up, then we'll know you're not interested in safety. So hopefully everybody's waking up. I'll try to wake you up, but hopefully your coffees will do a better job than me. And we're just going to roll right into this and get into our presentation. I've got about 42 minutes of speaking, and we'll reserve 15 minutes for questions and answers at the end, just a Q&A session. So with respect to that, don't be shy. If you have a question, feel free to ask. We'll talk through it. If it's something I can't answer in that 15 minutes, then I'll try to do a one-on-one after that. So before I get started, excuse me, I'm struggling with a respiratory issue that hit me like 3 weeks ago, and it's resonating. My apologies. Before we get started, I want to go through our takeaway points because I'm going to try to be a good teacher, and these are the nuggets that I really want to make sure that we cover and that you walk out of here with. Because in 42 minutes of speaking, you're not going to remember every word that I say, nor should you. So we're going to discuss what is culture. We're going to define that. What is a culture of safety? What does that mean for us in particular in our industry? And this one's in red because this one to me is the most important. Why build a culture of safety? Below that is the positive impacts building a culture of safety will have on your business. And I just want to emphasize that these two things are very different. The reason that we build a culture of safety and then the positive impacts it will have on your business are two separate things. So I want to make sure that that's well defined. Practical areas where we can start in building a safety culture. There's a decision involved. We're going to talk about forming a safety committee, looking back at loss history, learning from past history, doing a self-audit, and advanced programs, how your safety culture or your safety platform in your organization will look down the line. In other words, what kind of goals or milestones, examples could you use to build this thing out? Because it's not going to happen overnight. All right? So those are our key takeaways. I got my hashtag down here, safety culture, which I like to use in my posts. I do a lot of posting on social media. Some of you probably know that. So let's go right into it here. What is a culture? Now, we come from different backgrounds and different ethnicities, perhaps some of us different countries. In the off season, some of you know this, not all of you, but my family, we happen to live in the Republic of Panama in the off season, and I spend the winters in Pennsylvania, okay? So I happen to be Mexican-American, I'm not Panamanian, but we've been exposed to a variety of cultures, and it's very interesting that there's distinct differences in cultures. And it doesn't have to be right or wrong or good or bad. It's just distinct differences in food, in music, right? Cultures define groups of people. So many people think that all Latinos love hot food. That's not true. Panamanians don't like hot food at all. Mexicans love hot food. Cultures define groups of people. It's something that you learn, and we're going to speak about that. You learn cultural traits as you grow up, depending on where you grow up. So let's apply that to business. So I pulled this definition off of Google, and I love Google. Defining culture, this is a great sentence. Culture is a word for the way of life of groups of people, meaning the way they do things. So apply that to building a safety culture. What we're speaking about is building a way of doing things within your organization. It's just the way you do it. You might say about an organization, just say that's how they do it. That's their culture. So this is what we're speaking about when we're speaking about culture. All right? What is a culture of safety? It means that your organization collectively, and that's an important word because we're speaking about groups of people, your organization collectively promotes, embraces, exhibits, and trains on practical matters of safety that protect the well-being of person and property. Let me extract some key words from that sentence. So I already hit on collectively because it involves everyone in your organization. If we're talking culture, it's the way you do things as an organization. Practical matters of safety. Now, probably many of you are business owners or managers, and we don't want safety or any initiative, for that matter, to become cost prohibitive to where you can't do it at all. And that's a reality of business, when things become cost prohibitive, where you just can't do it. So practical matters is where we take a practical approach in safety, where we're not breaking the bank to do it. Because if we break the bank, we're not in business. But that also doesn't mean that we don't develop a culture of safety. So I'm gonna talk about, you're not gonna hear me up here giving OSHA lectures or getting really, really deep into the nuts and bolts of safety programs. We're just gonna talk about the steps of how to build the culture and some practical steps that can be taken to enhance your safety programs. And I hope that that's helpful. The culture of safety is not innate, rather it is trained from infancy. What do we think that means? Innate is where you're born with it, right? I'm born with a year-round tan. I'm just born with that. I didn't learn that, okay? What you learn is in your family, right? You learn certain traits. If your dad's a really hard worker, I don't want to put you on a spot, Brock, but I spoke with you at length last night. Farming background, hardworking family, it's in your family's culture. Hardworking, right? So, if you grow up with a lazy dad and mom, you might be lazy. These are learned traits. And that's important because if you plug someone in from the outside, whether it's a full-time employee, a seasonal employee, and I'd love to see it transcend even into those who use subcontractors. If you plug individuals into your organization, you want to plug them into an ecosystem that from infancy, from the first day they come into your organization, they're being trained. They're being absorbed by that culture. It envelops them. So it's not something where you're simply going to be born with this safety culture. It has to be cultivated. That's important. An effective and sustainable safety culture within a business organization will always be led by its leadership with a top-down approach. So if you're a leader in your business organization, if you're a CEO, a president, a senior manager, if you are a crew leader, those are leaders, the leadership in the safety culture is everything. It's not a task that gets delegated to frontline workers or anybody at a lower rank than yourself. It has to start with me. It has to start with Joshua. So if I'm gonna have a real safety culture in my organization, it starts with me. I had 20 comments on my shoes. I wear high-vis shoes. It's part of my emphasis on safety culture, I'm not worried about stubbing my toe, but it's just living that culture. So those that know me know that I don't stand up in front of a group of my peers, talk about safety, and then go back into the field and commit all these safety infractions. We're very serious about it. So likewise, you need to be serious about it. It's not something you wear. It's not a jacket. We don't, okay, I'm at the shop, I'm at work, I'm in front of a camera. Here's a good illustration. You ever see groundbreaking pictures? Have you seen pictures of people doing groundbreaking? I don't want to pick on them too much, but you know how executives, they go out there and they put on the really clean hard hats and they get the shiny shovel? Everybody's seen that, right? Those people have no idea what safety is on a construction site. That's just a photo op. So that's what I'm trying to say is we're not just putting on that hard hat and taking it off for the photo op, right? It's not a jacket. We just put it on, okay, I'm going to be safe at this moment and forget it tomorrow. This is something that becomes part of our fabric as a person, part of our DNA. It's just part of us for it to last. Let's discuss probably my most favorite component of this discussion here, and that is the why. And again, the why and the benefits are two separate things. All right? How many, I don't want you to be uncomfortable, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but I'm going to ask for some participation. How many people here are responsible for others underneath them as direct reports? You have people working for you. Okay, so maybe 70%. Okay, so we're going to talk about people. This is the why. This is why we build a safety culture. The why is because people matter. So think about your team members. Think about your favorite employee. We call our personnel technicians, field technicians. I could think of many faces of technicians that I care about, okay? And you as well. Bob, you had a team member be recognized last night, and that's somebody you care about a lot, right? You worked together how many years? Sorry to put you on the spot. 8 years. You care about that person. So for me, if you're going to build a safety culture that's going to be lasting, it's got to be about people. Because if we're checking boxes and it's just tasks, it's not going to last. Then that's just a business transaction. Does that make sense? This is what matters. People matter. So without people at the heart of the culture, it will only be a list of rules. Now you just have a list of safety rules. Here's the manual, page 367. Subparagraph C says you have to wear high-vis vest when, That's just a list of rules. That's not what we're talking about. You can Google safety programs and just put together a program. Okay? Big difference. The why is the most important part of our discussion this morning. Now we can speak about the positive impacts on your organization. Because this is the second most important thing. And it matters because we're in business. So we can reduce accidents and injuries with a safety culture, and that leads to lower operating expenses. Accidents cost money, injuries cost money, one way or another. We have less downtime. If a truck or a loader or a skid steer or a snowblower is taken out of service because of an accident, because of poor safety standards, that's lost time. That hits our productivity. That's a real cost. Hits the bottom line. Lower insurance premiums. The two are kind of interconnected. Sustainability of business, no insurance, no business. Now, I've been in this industry myself for going on 20 plus years, let's say, all right? I've been insured in the prime market my entire career. I've never been insured in an excess market, ever, because I've had loss control, under control from day one. I have picked up large contracts from property managers who had someone signed for the deal and who could not produce the insurance. Or better yet, some have the insurance until the endorsements are checked and snow removal is excluded from their policy. No insurance, no business. Lower insurance premiums from favorable risk management. I save a lot of money in my organization by controlling losses. I share with people my loss history. You know, when you have something good to talk about, somebody says knock on wood. I don't knock on wood. I train on safety. So to date, with ECF, which is a new brand for our family, this is only our 5th year. We have no losses None. Does that mean we won't have one or one will come out of the weeds? No. But it's a good track record. I'm not going to knock on wood. I'm going to train. I'm going to build a culture of safety. So that's putting our money where our mouth is there. You become attractive to the right clients, not just because you can insure the deal, but when we're talking about enterprise level clients, and in our case, we work with a fair amount, and not just in snow, because we're not a snow only company, but when they dig into our loss history and they look at our OSHA 300 logs, has anybody ever been asked for OSHA 300 logs? Anybody? Yes? Okay. So, that's because you're working with more sophisticated clients, obviously, right? Not anybody asks for OSHA 300 logs. But I'm going to tell you from experience, those are also the clients that they're very sustainable clients. That's big boy league clients that are asking for your loss history, your risk management, because they want to partner with you. They're not just looking for a price, right? They're looking for value. So this stuff matters. This matters. It creates positive discipline among your frontline field workers. For me, okay, let me reread that. It creates positive discipline. Discipline can be bad. Positive discipline is always good. It creates structure. There's a rule. If we go back to our opening slide, the way we do things, that transcends into your total operation because people are structured. So I comment often, I don't run a military organization, but we have strict discipline in our operations. We have had visitors come to our facilities, and immediately they notice the discipline and the structure. Safety culture is an absolute pillar of that foundation of that structure. It will flow into the field. Myth and fact. Creating, sustaining, and maintaining safety programs costs too much money. That is a myth. That's a myth. Work with what you have. Your limiting factor will not be money. It will be time. So you're going to have to carve out time. You're going to have to assign time block for this initiative. I don't spend a lot of money with outside consultants for two reasons. Number one, we have some experience. And number two, depending on your brokers or your insurance agents, they have programs that are available to you to help you build and have tools for your safety. So for instance, our workers' comp is Crum and Forrester. They write our comp in each state, each market we're in. They have very, very skilled consultants that can come out. They don't charge you anything to come out and consult with you, help you with your operations. You don't have to spend a lot of money there. There's a lot of consultants selling their service of, let me come in and teach you how to put on high-vis sneakers, And does it really matter too much, So I'm not suggesting that consultants don't offer value. I'm just saying that we're talking about doing this right in a practical way where you're not breaking the bank doing it. So the fact is that property damage, injuries, downtime, a lack of professionalism, they cost you much, much, much more. That's the fact, that it costs you more. And you're not going to grow your business to its full potential if you don't get this in order. So where do you start? Because if you look at your teams and your operations, if you look at them today, maybe you're doing a really good job, you're to be commended for that. Maybe you want your teams to look like they eat, sleep, and breathe safety. Maybe you want that look. Maybe you want to achieve that goal. Where do you start? We didn't start here to where you can recognize an ECF team on a job site. I think you can recognize an ECF team on a job site, on any number of job sites that we're operating on. You know ECF when you see it. I'm not promoting ECF, I'm making an example. How do you get to that point to where it's just your way of doing things? That's what we're going to talk about next. Practical areas to begin. Checking my time. Practical areas to begin. So the first thing is make a decision. So these are my suggestions to you. These are not concrete. I'm just going to give you my suggestions and my experience, and I'm still learning just like you are. Make a decision. Gather every leader in your organization. Okay? Your managers, anybody who's a leader, or anybody who exhibits leadership qualities. You can have a field technician, again, as we call them, who has a strong personality, who's not afraid to be an example and to take the lead. Grab every single person in your organization that you think is a leader or has leadership ability. And when all of your team members are present, what I would do is if 30 people were present, or 3 people were present, or 10 people, I would extract those leaders and say, John, Tim, Susie, and Joe, we're going to have a special discussion. Let everybody else wonder what you're talking about. And have a structured discussion about, we're going to build a safety culture. This is why we're going to do it. These are the positive impacts. We're going to build a safety culture. We need to know if you're going to buy in. Make a decision as a team collectively. The business owner is not going to make that decision on their own, or it's not a culture. Okay? Decide. Establish a safety committee. We established, when I launched ECF in 2015, one of the first things I did was establish a safety committee. We started with 5 people in 2015, so it was me and one other person. You know? At least 2 people, preferably more. So today we have 4 people on our safety committee. I'm not the chair of the safety committee. Edwin Torres is, but we have 4 people. Why do you think that is? Why do you think we're suggesting at least 2 people for a safety committee? It's recorded here. It fosters collaboration and team approach. Right? A wise person once wrote that you have a multitude of counselors. As a business owner, I would recommend you're involved at the outset, but pull yourself out and delegate this to people. Because if it's a culture thing, it's going to be your team doing it. You're not going to do it on your own. So empower people to do this. Put together a safety committee. You don't need a license. You don't need some special certification. Put together a group of people who care, and this is what they're going to do. They're going to be empowered to build your safety programs. They're going to collaborate on company needs, and they're going to carry the torch of leadership. Safety committee can research, receive, advanced training. So if you wanted to invest some money, you could take the committee, like we just took our committee in, when was it, Brian? April. We flew them private down to Miami, our safety committee, to give them a very special treat and to set them up with some advanced training and get them charged up. And then they came back, well, they went back to their branches and they injected that into their branches. So they're going to carry the torch of leadership. They can do research, and they can push that education through your ranks. So the committee's formed. We're sitting on a committee. Me, Carrie, Bob. We're on the committee. Okay? What are we going to do? My suggestion, first thing, look backwards. Right? We learn from the past. It's a great way to learn. Okay, what problems have we been having? What types of accidents? Where are we loosey-goosey? Make a list. The list can be really, really long if it needs to be. It is what it is. Make a list. What issues have we been experiencing in the past? That's where the committee should start. And then create an immediate action plan to implement training and procedures to prevent those types of incidents from repeating. Here's an illustration. I love illustrations. Here's one to help you to understand. Not that you don't, but just illustrations help us remember when we leave. So if I have a boat and my boat is sinking because there are holes in the bottom of the boat, I'm not going to just keep pitching the water overboard, right? I'm going to plug the holes first. So this is the first action. This is plugging the holes. You're taking on water. You already know what the issues are. Plug those holes first before you go to step 2. So looking back into the past, see what's going on. Maybe in Florida, there was a particular year in a past business enterprise that I sold, and we had dehydration issues. Like it just started happening. And we realized something's not right here. So we had to start doing hydration education. That was the moment we started installing ice machines in our branches. And we took action because we saw a pattern developing. So just as an example. Let's say you got things under control. let's say things are in order, do a self-audit. So you've addressed kind of past issues, self-audit, visual self-audit of your operation. Take a look around. Have them carve out time to specifically walk around the operation, see what's going on. What do they observe? Maybe it hasn't been a past issue, but maybe it's an issue that will need to be addressed to prevent a future issue. That's step 2. They should take notes. So I'm walking around what we call our branch of service centers, because I love the word service. That's the business I'm in. So our service centers, walk around, make a list. Let's just say, I hope this isn't the case in one of our service centers, but we find 783 things that are wrong. Can happen. But prioritize, because there's only so much time. So then you take your priorities and put them, these are the big rocks, these are the little rocks. Step 2, interviewing managers, supervisors, field personnel. Have discussions with team members. Bob, this is a rhetorical question. Bob, you've been in the field X number of years. If you could give me 2 things or 3 things that you think we could improve on in safety, what would they be? Right? Your committee records that. Hey, Carrie, if you could give me 1 or 2 things that you think we could improve on, what would it be? If you do that with enough team members, and you got a little simple chart, you put a team member's name, you put the 2 or 3 things of feedback they gave you, and I say that every painting is done 1 brushstroke at a time. Pretty soon a picture gets formed. Your team will tell you what you need to do, ultimately. They'll say, oh, well, we have safety vests, but then we run out and we can't find them. And, we're working around heavy equipment, but we're not really visible. And you start to see where like 7 people said that, or 12 people. They say the same thing, or, you start to paint a little bit of a picture. So get feedback from the field, because your safety committee can take that, digest it, and put together the needs, because all of our businesses have different needs. We're working on different types of job sites for different climates, different situations. Ask them why they feel that way. This encourages collaboration with your employees. I like to do that just as a matter of teaching. Hey, what do you think about X? Well, I think da-da-da-da-da-da. Okay, why do you feel that way? Ask probing questions and teach your team members to ask probing questions so that you can get good, actionable information, helpful information out of your team. If they name several items, ask them what they would start with and why. Try to understand what the priorities would be. Safety committee should take the findings of this audit, create a report, an action plan with task owners and date-driven deadlines. Safety committee will develop a report. There'll be assigned owners. So say, okay, Bob, you're going to take care of A and B. Carrie's taking care of C and D. Brian's taking care of E and F. Now, we know B, Bob, it's like a big initiative, so we're going to do that 3rd quarter, 4th quarter. We're going to do that 2021. We're going to do that 2025 because we have all these other things to do first, right? You're going to have to chart it out, especially in the beginning. And then assign deadlines, deadlines, even if you're going to push it to another season to work on it, because there could be so many things at the beginning. I don't want you to be overwhelmed by all these things that you've got to do. Take the big rocks first and prioritize. So this is what advanced safety programs look like. So this is as you're moving, you're gaining momentum now. And all of these, 1 through 12, all of these are things that are already systemically or inherently part of ECF's safety culture. Okay? These are all things that we have in place, and perhaps even more. A written safety manual, it's in writing. If it gets updated, there's a revision date on it. It's done professionally. When I say professionally, don't write a 500-page safety manual. Write a practical manual that your team can understand and utilize. All right? Jesus, you saw our safety manual? How thick was it? Right there. Yeah, actionable information. Don't rewrite the Bible. We already have the Bible. Don't rewrite it. All right? A defined safety committee, mandate, and procedure. So in our safety manual is written the safety committee mandate and what the procedures are, right down to how often they have their meetings, how long their meetings should be, that minutes should be taken. It's in writing. Just a couple paragraphs, but it's clear. Safety committee meetings with agendas and minutes, which are later posted. So our safety committee gets together, they have a meeting, they discuss everything. There's a secretary taking minutes. Those minutes are edited and approved by the chairman, Edwin, and they get published. They'll be hanging in the information boards in our service centers, and then whatever they came up with will be implemented in the coming weeks and months. Okay? So this is where you have a nice little, I actually posted an example of our minutes in one of my posts. So I'm going to be very happy to share with you some templates or some outlines if you need some assistance. Just see me and I'll help you. This is about people, right? Implementation of PPE, that's personal protective equipment, so you've got that fully implemented. Again, something very important for us. Equipment-specific safety training. So now you're not just high level, speaking about safety high level, you're digging into very specific things. So we have a whole host of training videos that are proprietary to our organization that are very specific. Some of them one of them was playing when some of you came in early, but that's just an example. You don't necessarily have to have full production videos. You can have just some written forms that are very specific on equipment, maybe some still pictures incorporated into a template. You get a new operator, you say, hey, before you operate, I know you're an expert, I know you're a union operator, but this is an internal safety policy that you should review. So have them sign off so that they're specifically trained for a piece of equipment. Number 8 was company-specific video production, safety training topics. We're constantly building our library. I love to be in the field. Anybody who knows me knows I love to be in the field. I hate to be in the office because I grew up in the field. So I lead a lot of these training videos. I enjoy teaching, and I enjoy empowering my team through education. Implementation of a drug-free workplace policy. That's pretty advanced these days because I know a lot of companies do not have drug-free workplaces. You cannot work for ECF if you're on drugs. No operator operates equipment for ECF unless they're drug tested and background checked. Somebody told me actually recently, they said, we're afraid to do that because we don't know how many operators we'll lose. Okay? Think about it. A method to hold team members accountable for safety infractions, there needs to be accountability. You can't tell a child, don't touch the stove. I'm not calling our peers children, I'm using an illustration. You can't tell a child, don't touch the hot stove, and then he touches it and not gets burned, right? He's going to get burned. That's the accountability. He's not touching it again after that. For the benefit of our team members, I say to protect them from themselves even at times, because we all need to be accountable. Josh needs to be held accountable. I get held accountable by my clients and the banks and the insurance carriers, right? We all have accountability. Hold team members accountable. There's got to be a system in place to record safety infractions and counsel people. Quite possibly suspend people. Quite possibly terminate someone so you don't have a systemic risk. Reward for achievement of safety goals. Rewards are important. I mentioned one with our committee, but even beyond that, there can be rewards for employees who've had no infractions for the year. At the end of the year, they get something, or the end of the season if it's a seasonal person. It could even be incentives for subs, because I don't use a lot of subs, but subcontractors I know in this industry, they reflect on us as business owners. They're representing our brand. So what kind of incentive could be given to a sub for 0 accidents? Maybe it's 1% of their billings. Maybe you say, listen, no safety issues all year, follow our rules, all your guys invest, everybody's signing off on this sheet, No safety issues, 1% of billed revenue is your incentive. I don't know, maybe something like that. I just thought of that right now, but something, something to incentivize. Use of outside consulting firms to enhance your safety program or OSHA compliance. So our brokers, Brown & Brown, they have resources to provide to us for OSHA certification, other various certifications, even forklift certification, lift certification, because we do a variety of things in our organization. So that's when you're starting to gain some momentum. So we're back to the beginning here. Culture is a word for the way of life of groups of people, meaning the way they do things. So when you look at your organization as you develop a safety culture, and it does not have to be a large, sophisticated company. I started with me and my little brother. So don't think, well, it's something that I'll do when I get to 100 employees or 200 employees or 3. Don't think like that. Start right now with yourself and make it the way that you do things in your organization. It's going to be the way you do things. So we're starting a little bit of an initiative. We're going to have our media team. We have a full-time media team. We're going to have them be pushing out a lot of content that doesn't end with our brand, meaning our logo and our hashtag, but put out content that emphasizes safety. And we're actually going to invite peers to send media in so we can do collective videos to emphasize safety in our industry, to raise the standard of safety. It's an initiative we're going to do. And even if it has a small impact, we're going to do it.
Every year, a war rages out of sight. You barely noticed it was happening. The war is against the elements. Nature strikes first. We are your skilled and highly equipped protection force. Our battle fleet is advanced and powerful. You never knew how hard we trained. You did not know how well we prepared. Our troops are among the most highly skilled in the world. The battlefield is harsh and unforgiving. Safety is our top priority. First, we protect ours so that we can protect yours. Our uniforms tell the story. Our smiles speak of victory. We are North American snow fighters, and without us, nothing moves. We win the battle, so your business operates in peace.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.